I love brand. I'm obsessed with brand. I think brand is the greatest business tool of all time. I think everything's under-branded as well. So we're not going to under-brand this presentation. This is our company, Evidenza. It means evidence in Italian. We use synthetic research to give B2B decision makers the evidence they need to make decisions. I worked at LinkedIn a while back and figured out that most B2B marketers just have no evidence to make any decisions. And so product makes the decision, sales makes the decision, finance makes the decision, everybody in B2B makes the decision except for the marketer who has essentially no data, no evidence. As Noah mentioned, we are very serious about branding, and we do dress up in these costumes. You can see me here. I ordered these off of Etsy. They're incredible. This is what's called Ren Fair garb. Is anybody familiar with Ren Fair garb? Nobody? I mean, nobody's been to a Ren Fair? They have these things where you can go joust. But yeah, we dress up like this. I think part of this is an intentional decision. AI is such a futuristic technology that we often like to clothe our ideas and our thinking and our dress in old ideas, given that it's a new idea. It's got a contrast, surprisingly familiar maybe. And so I'm going to start this presentation in a similar way. I assumed I would be the only person today at this whole conference using Renaissance imagery. But it turns out that, is it Paul Ford? Paul Ford has more Renaissance imagery in his presentation than I do. I literally can't not believe that. Almost impossible given that our entire brand kind of identity is Renaissance, I suppose, branding. But anyways, I'm not the most Renaissance branded person at this event, much to my surprise and chagrin. But we do a thing called synthetic research. And in synthetic research, you create people like this, who are what we call impersonas. They impersonate your customers. Then they give you all sorts of opinions on market research, or you can cluster them into segments, or you can ask them kind of whatever question you want. It's a fast way to get feedback in B2B especially. People are always like, it's impossible that something synthetic can be real. It's got to be fake. And I always try to remind people, because I love history, we need more historians and probably fewer futurists. I love history, that most of the great products we use are synthetic, in fact. Going back to vanilla, going to rubber, to diamonds, to insulin. These things are human, and then they become synthetic. And when they become synthetic, they become better, not worse. The B2B one is interesting, partly because I worked at GE, and also partly because in 1954, GE synthesized synthetic diamonds for industrial use. And now we have, 25 years, what is it now? 75 years later, there was an article in the Wall Street Journal saying that the problem with synthetic diamonds is they're too good, they're too big, and they're too cheap. So it's a very interesting critique to say something is just too good now, a synthetic diamond. But what we do is actually, there's a lot of heritage, I guess, in kind of the world around synthetic being better. So we create these synthetic people, and we give them all sorts of characteristics and names. There's 75 different dimensions we create for everybody. And we do them primarily in a B2B setting because B2B marketers have never had the ability to do a lot of these things. One of the first things we do, and this is about marketing strategy and marketing research, that's what I'm going to talk about, is we just help people do real marketing plans for the first time. We actually help them with very simple things like segmentation, targeting, and positioning, which is just literally marketing 101. But in B2B, I was recently at a conference with a bunch of insurance people, all B2B marketers, very senior people. I asked them, how many of the people here, probably 60 people, have done a segmentation before? And 4 people out of 60 people raised their hands. So most B2B marketers have never done a segmentation. Why have they never done a segmentation? Because it is too slow, it is too expensive, it's just damn near impossible to do. So you can't really do marketing in some sense in B2B. A lot of B2B marketers may disagree with that, but usually it's the product marketers who are doing it, if they're doing it at all, or it's the sales people or the finance people. So we're giving people the ability for the first time, in my belief, the ability to do jobs in B2B marketing they just have never been able to do. So we're creating work for a lot of B2B marketers that wasn't possible before. We worry so much about what AI is going to take away. This is an example of we're going to give 56 people in that room the ability to do a segmentation for the first time, which I find to be incredibly exciting. So we have all these segments, we cluster them into segments, we size them, we give you intelligence on them, we create a bunch of synthetic versions for you, and we let you go in and talk to them. This is, kind of more like a parlor trick than anything else. But I went and talked to this person this morning. I mean, as we all know, the robots are infinitely patient. So at 7 a.m., happy to talk to me about my day, what's going on in the world of AI. This person's a CIO in financial services. So I said, do you work on Wall Street? No, I don't work there, but I've had some meetings there. I said, I'm going to 161 Water Street today. Do you know it? He said, no, I don't really know it, but I know it's by the waterfront. These AIs are smart. It says Water Street, and they know it's by the waterfront. I mean, that's what I'm talking about. This is good stuff here. So the segmentation is just something that we do that, again, used to take 3 months, 6 months, a year at LinkedIn. Is anybody here from LinkedIn? Good, I'm glad. You had to do earmuffs. At LinkedIn, we did a segmentation that took a year and cost a lot of money that now we would do in about a week. So again, and it's not to say that it's perfect, it's to say we do it, you react to it, we iterate on it, we make it better, right? It's never finished, it's iterative, it's improving all the time. Another thing we help with is positioning. I actually like the perceptual map that I just saw from Swayze. That was a very good perceptual map. But you can start to do all these things like understand, this is a very expensive piece of research called category entry point analysis. If we have any Ehrenberg Bass fans in the house? There are a lot of you here, so you know about this. You know, this is something called category entry point analysis, jobs to be done, where you ask people why they buy the category, when they buy, you listed all this data, and then you stack rank it by how common it is. And in the world of like pre-AI, you can't really do this in B because it's hard to get a sample. It's very difficult to do. This is kind of how we got started in AI. Trying to do this with people didn't work. Doing it with AI works incredibly well. And you can not only figure out what's most commonly needed by your customer, so really give B2B marketers voice of customer, you can also tell them how valuable it likely is based on the commonality. You can go in and see, the famous W's. Why do you buy? When do you buy? Where do you buy? What other products and services do you bundle it with? And even a verbatim here. So we've been growing like mad lately. So it's incredible the ability of AI to understand what people need, to kind of understand how common that need is, to financialize that need, and to give you a very granular, to kind of atomic level verbatim on what that need is. It really is quite remarkable. So in this sense, you could figure out, IT decision makers are my biggest audience, scalability is my biggest need, here's the value of it, here's how we're gonna talk about it in customer language, here's how we rank against our competitors, SAP dominates here, no surprise, this is ERP, and even here's what we think if you were to kind of take an idea like, extra share of voice, which is a actually very complicated idea, despite being very simple to talk about. But if I spend my media, what kind of return can I expect to get? So this is a very fun part of our business, which is just kind of classic marketing strategy. I also think a wonderful thing about AI is it allows you to be wrong a lot and fix your problems quickly. Like we've made so many mistakes in our business, but you could just rerun your segmentation. I could run more segmentations in an hour than most companies could have run in the past in 3 years. That's incredible. The speed, the flexibility, the iterability, to me is magic because you can fix mistakes fast because there will be lots of mistakes made. We kind of nobody really knows what they're doing. The clients definitely don't know what they're doing. So again, the ability to run things quickly and to fix problems quickly is magic because it allows you to fix problems fast, to learn from your mistakes fast. So I love the idea of just being able to rerun everything. I have 2 minutes left. This is actually the part of the business that everybody really loves. I probably should have spent 8 minutes on this and not 2 minutes on the other stuff, but I like to show it all. I like to show it all. This is about market research. Market research is the most painful thing that B2B marketers do if they can do it at all. Very slow, very expensive, impossible to get the sample. So what we do is we create these people I showed you at the start, the impersonas. We define all of them. We ask them a bunch of different questions, including, where do you work, and which ERP vendors do you use, and which actual product do you use, and is it on or off-prem? And then we give you verbatims from people. So we bring qual and quant together in a way that is actually quite rare and very difficult to do. So this is something that, again, I don't think has really been possible in B2B. Like I got some company that reached out and said we're having a meeting with our board in a week, and we want to understand which name we should choose, run a quick piece of market research for us, and tell us what we should name it. You could never have done that before. It's an entirely new buying situation that is entirely made possible by AI. So this is actually a very big part of our business now, and I think quite fun. I love learning about the customer. We also do creative testing, what stands out? Do you like this AI cat? Everybody likes an AI cat with a Van Gogh background. Paul Ford also used Van Gogh, actually. So this is basically like a much worse presentation of the one you saw, at the start, which makes a lot of sense. Also, again, when you do research, you don't get all the answers. You often just get more questions. And in fact, now you have these robots just sitting there waiting to hear your questions. So it's like, what did you mean by convenience in question 34? Well, hey, client, we'll go back and ask a million more questions about convenience so you really understand what convenience means in very clear detail. You can also simulate stuff, which I love. Like in the old world, you'd run one piece of market research, right? And then here, we're running the same piece of research 50 different times with 5 different models, 10 times each. So you're simulating things at a 50 kind of person or 50 survey scale. Like, soon it will be 100 surveys, it'll be 1,000 surveys. I mean, the idea of being able to simulate segmentations or positionings or surveys to get real reliability and kind of consistency is an amazingly cool idea. I love the idea of being able to simulate things, especially B2B. Marketing decisions. This is me again, back to the branding. You show the branding throughout, you show the branding at the end, the branding sandwich. We're back. I really appreciate your time. This has been a wonderful conference. We're all learning together, and it was nice to be here. Have a good day.